The Photowalk podcast is pleased to partner with MPB. Buy, sell, trade and create.
Right, go on then. Switch the camera on. Go on, that button just up there. You've done it before. There we go. A bit of camera wobble. You want to get a rig? You do. Anyway, let me just jump up and... I like a bit of orange juice. Nice of people to leave it for me. That's very nice. Very nice indeed. That's not the X100 you're holding there, is it? Is it? Oh, a bit partial to those. Hang on, has that got a new number on it?
It's been a number of years since I last made a new camera review, so when the new X100VI managed to find its way into my camera bag before flying to the Gambia for a photo retreat, I'll admit to a flutter of excitement. Partly because it's a new camera, and there is something quite cool about having a secret something that most of the world hasn't seen, but also because I'm a genuinely signed up member of Fujifilm's X100 Admiration Society, although it's not always been that way.
When my mother died, she left a bit of money, and the first thing that I bought as a treat to myself was something I'd always wanted, a Leica camera. And the Leica camera I decided to buy was the digital one available at the time, which was the Leica M8. And I took it home, took it out the box, played with it a bit, made some pictures, and I very quickly came to the realization that this was possibly the worst camera I'd ever owned. Fringing, just the sensor was dreadful. It wasn't a great purchase. I had a similar experience the first time that I used Fuji's X100 camera, Fujifilm's X100 camera. I took it home, I took it out the box, I practiced with it a bit, and then we had a family holiday to Corfu. So this was the first time I'd really used it properly. And on the flight out, we had a chance to win an opportunity to go and sit with the captain at the end of the flight if we got the amount of miles correct between Gatwick Airport and Corfu's airport. And our Jack, our eldest, I don't know, he was 3, possibly 4 at the time, he won the competition. We guessed within, I think, 20 or 30 miles. Anyway, he won the competition. He went up to the front of the aircraft when we landed. He sat in the captain's chair, and I took out the X100, and this thing would not focus for love nor money. It was dreadful. There was so much backlighting. I was just fighting to make pictures. In fact, for the whole of that holiday, I had moments exactly like that. And so that too could have gone in the list of the worst cameras I've ever bought. So what's the reason that I've continued buying X100 cameras? There's various technical reasons, of course, you'd expect. But there's one word, and it's a 3-letter word, that sort of appears more than any other. And that word is fun.
Look, I know that sounds a tad flaky, perhaps a bit decadent, especially so when I consider the backdrop for this film. The pictures you're currently viewing, filmed within the new X100VI, were made at a school in a town called Bacau, where the average wage for a qualified teacher is between £6 and £10 a day, from what I was told, that is. I know these are relative conversations, but look, the point I'm making is fun, as a currency for many in terms of tech, is somewhat of a luxury, so there has to be a better reason to drop a decent 4-figure sum of dollars, pounds or euros on this, surely. I mean, what does the 6 really have that the V doesn't? I mean, can I live with the V? At this point, I'd done a really nice piece to camera, I thought, with a dozen or so kids around me, trying to impress upon them that they were all being filmed by this new secret camera. Nobody seemed bothered particularly, and I didn't find out until later, but I'd completely forgotten to record myself. So tip number 1, if you intend to use this to vlog with, make sure you activate the tally light on the front of the camera, which will give you a visual sign that you are in recording mode.
But it's not a vlogging camera, it's an X100. I think the moment that you make this into a vlogging camera, it would cause one hell of an argument, wouldn't it? So, as for looking at, I suppose I could do it on the app, but as for just whipping a screen out and being able to see what you're recording, there's no chance of that at all. It's a flip-up screen, so you can look down into it when you're photographing. And also, the widest I can go with this in full frame equivalent terms is 28mm. I appreciate that's going to upset anybody that uses Fujifilm cameras. But listen, these reviews are often for people that have never really experienced a Fujifilm camera. So if I can relate to you how wide this lens adapter goes, then you'll appreciate it in your language. But behind me, the children are having it's black beans today.
All the still photographs in this film are lightly processed JPEGs. Due to this being a new camera, Lightroom hasn't yet stepped up to shake hands with the RAWs. Well, not at the time of use anyway. In terms of film simulation though, I'm a Provia standard shooter.
Things I'd like to see. Oh, I would so love to see a twin slot in this camera, but you'd have to make the camera slightly larger. I've suggested that perhaps having digital memory that records JPEG alongside a slot that records RAW, or if you want to put JPEG on there as well, it would be a great idea, and it can't be too difficult. And I know the naysayers will say, no, but it will never work, and I don't really have a reason, but no, it won't. But why?
Look, I don't want to fall out with you. My wish list items are really only small gripes, if they're even that, because the X100V has been a constant companion. Yes, I'd like a twin slot, because I think I could happily use this commercially now, the 6 that is, though I take the V with me on assignments already. The 6 has added the following: the 40 megapixel X-Trans CMOS 5 HR sensor, X processor 5, 6 stops of IBIS, I'll come to that later, REALA ACE film simulation, I'm sure there was another one as well, but the pre-production model has gone back now, so I'll have to wait for a surprise, hopefully. No, the surprise I really wanted was that they'd forget, Fujifilm that is, that they'd even lent this to me. Oh well.
Things I'd like to see also include maybe a new adapter to go on the front, maybe something that takes the full frame, I'll talk in full frame language, to 80, I can see a few people, their heckles rising, but roughly 85mm, 80 to 85mm focal length would be great, and such a good focal length for portrait work. Yes, you can use the digital zoom when you're using JPEG, and of course, if you don't like what you find, the RAW is always recording the full picture anyway. So that's on my list of things I'd like, but they're not essential. It's been the most amazing travel camera because you're getting resolution. The IBIS makes such a lot of difference for certain situations, particularly in the dark and with the filming. So those make this a purchase I'd definitely be very serious about.
I would like to point out that I'm not being paid to say these words, and perhaps the fact that I'm a dedicated follower of passion when it comes to this breed of camera means that I'm predestined to buy this, with my own pennies, I might add, surely. But do I really need it? Do I really need it? Well, I can't say in low light it's particularly better. Maybe it is, but to my Lightroom eyes so far, the resolution, well, that's the winner here. Of course it is. I can crop into my pictures a little more, if necessary, without getting quite as twitchy as I once did. IBIS for filming, well, this I can see as an advantage. The built-in ND filter helps in terms of stills and filming, 4 stops on the V. I assume it's the same with the 6. New processor, that gets a tick from me. And the latest AF algorithm. Now, I was using this camera for stills and video, and I was pretty impressed with the focusing times of the AI subject detection. Trust me, filming the dancing during the Kankirang festival is a challenge. On that note, 6.2K 30p filming and 4K 60p with plenty of parameters for slow-mo is fantastic. I did notice, and I've never experienced this with the X100V, even in heat like Africa, I did notice that the 6 delivered me an overheating warning more times than I would like or expect. Perhaps with the IBIS cycling very hard to help out without too much space for the heat to disappear, I shouldn't have been too surprised to find this in the lunchtime heat of a West African day. I also had a few flare issues, which I remember the X100F used to be criticised for. Jury's still out on that one, wish I'd have more time to test. Finally, the buttons. Well, they're in the same place. So it's like an old not so old friend. Oh yes, is it heavier? Well, slightly. But just like a cat can only hear sounds even my tinnitus can't replicate, not one to lose any sleep over. But do I need one? Do I really need one when the V is so good and starting to make sorrowful eyes at me that I'm about to trade it in? Maybe it saw me looking at mpb.com's website. What do you think?